March 2026, and there are 7 major energy shifts this month over 5 major dates. I'm going to give you all of the dates on this episode, how to work with it, what to do, what not to do to make the most of this energy. And we'll start with an overview of those 7 major transits, the 5 major dates, and how this is all bringing us into more emotional depth this month. There can be some sudden shifts of energy to work with, especially with the eclipse. But a lot of these energy shifts are going to be transformational in a positive way of like completions, letting go of things that have been stuck, and having breakthroughs into new parts of life. If you're new to me on this podcast, go to quietmindastrology.com and get your free Vedic birth chart. And I'll walk you through how to interpret it on a free training as well, so you know what houses are affected for you this month. There's a lot of the big shifting energies happening in the signs of Aquarius and Pisces. You want to know where those signs are in your chart, as well as some Gemini energy. So wherever you have Aquarius, Pisces, and Gemini in your chart, definitely check what's going on in those houses in your birth chart to know how to work with this energy. Everything I say here applies to everybody equally on this episode. We're building towards the astrological new year. So we have the calendar year beginning on January 1st. We've got the Lunar New Year, the Chinese calendar, which happened on February 17th. But now we have the astrological New Year. Less popular, less well known, but in ancient India, of course, this is very well known. And it's from the traditions of the Vedas and where all of this comes from in Vedic astrology, that this is considered the beginning of the really energetic year, the calendar of astrology year, the zodiac year. We'll talk about that and how to work with that today as well. The first notable shift is Venus into Pisces, March 1st through 25th. So pretty much all month, Venus in Pisces, exalted. This happened last year as well, around the beginning of the year. So you think back to what was going on in your life, like February, March, April, May of 2025, because Venus had a long extra extended stay in Pisces because it went retrograde and then forward again. So this is bringing up energies that are very romantic, idealistic in relationship, but you could have the risk of losing yourself in relationship, because Venus is love and relationships. Pisces is like escape and losing yourself and dreamy. So you might have this thing where you really want to go deeper into your relationship, but you want to make sure you stay connected to yourself, your heart, and your desire as well. This is a month to follow intuition over logic. Venus, what we love, in the sign of Pisces with Saturn right now, with Neptune right now. Means we've been going through this time over the last year of like expanding our boundaries, maybe running into some friction of wanting to have a boundless energy, but needing to have boundaries. Where do I draw the line between me and you in relationship? Where do I draw the line between myself and others? What do I really need for myself to take care of myself, my needs? That's all Saturn in Pisces. It's a challenging transit over 2.5 years that we're still not even halfway through. So that's going on all year. But when we add Venus to the mix, now it gets us more into our heart, more into our flow, our energy, our feeling. So this is not necessarily the month to have it all ironed out of like, this is the plan, this is the schedule, this is the routine, because we've got Mercury retrograde as well this month. And we've got a lot of other conflicting energies around this. But it will get a much clearer after the 20th of March. Until the 20th of March, feel your way through life. Trust your intuition. Be in your body. Connect to your energy and your intuition. This is a risk of fantasy and escapism, particularly around relationships between March 1st and 25th this month. And this is a time to really communicate with passion, with grace, with love. Venus is how we relate. Pisces is how we feel, how we experience, the dreams we have. So you may have very interesting dreams as well and insights for your relationships through your dreams. But just knowing that you're communicating from your heart this month is going to create more connection. A lot of times when we get into conflict in relationship, we get into the head, wanting to be right, wanting to be in control. This is losing touch with, well, how do you want to feel? And that's what Venus and Pisces is all about. How do you want to feel in your relationships? And not just your love as a person, your spouse, your partner, but what you love in your life. So this is a month to really connect with, again, what do you love? Maybe you have an old hobby, an art practice, you like to draw, make music, sing. These are all very favorable activities as well, especially if you're listening and you happen to have Pisces in your second house. So that's anybody's Aquarius rising. Venus moving in the second house. It's a really nice time for singing, as an example. So this is where we can apply the transits to our own birth charts, which we won't go so far into this episode, but that's how we do that. And this is a good month for doing something for the greater good, like a volunteer, donating, being part of a bigger cause, something you really care about. March 1st, 25th. And any sort of creative activities with your partner. This is very, very important actually with your spouse to have time in non-linear, non-logical, non-rational experiences. For a lot of people, that's like in the infatuation stage, it's the beginning of a relationship, maybe through sex, maybe they have some hobby like dancing or playing music or something together. Tantra practices, things like this, yoga practices, meditating together. These are all examples of getting into more of the intuitive feeling, sensing, being state rather than the doing state. So this is a good month for that. And any sort of creative activities, like if you want to do something artistic or creative together, can be very nice. Now, all this, I've talked a lot about partnerships. If you're not in a relationship or looking for a relationship, this can be a very nice time for meeting somebody, but it's beware of idealism. For everybody, beware of idealistic thinking and don't rush into anything right now. This is a kind of wishful, hopeful, optimistic, dreamy, intuitive feeling sense throughout the month with relationship energy. But it gets a lot more practical and grounded in a couple months. So at the end of March, Venus will move into Aries. We'll talk about this later because Venus will go through a very sensitive point on March 25th, a very transformational point. So if you've had something stuck in your relationship or stuck with trying to find a partner or date somebody, things that have been stuck in your story and your patterns get unstuck. So it's very personal to you of like, what is the pattern? What is the story playing out? And it's very good to observe that this month and maybe journal, reflect on that. Like, what is the pattern playing out in your relationships right now? Is there somewhere you're getting stuck? There's a huge potential to get unstuck on March 25th. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The next big transit for March is on Tuesday, March 3rd, when the lunar eclipse happens in Leo in Purva Phalguni. Now, as always, the eclipses are a big portal, a transformational time when you're here, and then after the eclipse portal, you're there. It's a 6-week window that will finish up in mid-March. So we're in it. It's not completed really until 2 weeks after March 3rd. But there's an opportunity here to release your ego and your need for attention, your need for control. Ego is anywhere that you need to be in control and where you need to have it this way. And it was that way. I want to keep it that way. Don't want to change. Need it to be my way. That's attachment to form. So if you're attached to any forms in your life, transits like this come around to humble you and reform things. Now, some of us is more intense. If your ego has gotten really strong and you've gotten really attached to something, the universe gently nudges you away from that. And then eventually it's not so gentle. If you're not listening to the signs, the synchronicities, the intuitions, things happen a bit more firmly. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, around an eclipse season, I was in this place of resisting playing my music out in public. And everything was pointing in that way. I was getting all the signs, people just coming up to me randomly, talking about my music. Why aren't you playing shows? And I was just resisting it. I had so much resistance, fear, doubt, didn't want to be judged, wasn't sure if I was ready, all these things. These are very normal when you're going to put yourself out there and do something new. And then something happened where I was driving in Minnesota over black ice. My car skidded and spun out across 5 lanes of traffic. Miraculously, nobody was hurt. And I crashed into a light pole that fell down, miraculously not hitting anything. So crazy circumstances, but it was like a big wake-up call. Like, I could have died. I could have hurt somebody. That could have been very, very bad. And it's kind of a wake up call like, okay, what do I want to be doing with my life? Now, of course, not everybody's wake up call is going to be so intense, but I was resisting the call. I was resisting my intuition, what I knew. I knew that was the next step in my life. Whatever it led to beyond that, I didn't know, but I knew that was the next step, and I was not listening to it. So I got gentle nudges, people guiding me, asking me, inviting me, and I ignored, resisted. And then suddenly I had this wake up call like, life could have just ended right there. That could have been it at the end of the story. Like, what am I waiting for? Why am I not doing this thing I know I need to do? So I actually had an ego that was attached to safety, which the ego often is. But a lot of times we think of ego as like arrogance, pride, control. That person's so egotistical, they're a narcissist, all these kind of things that are very like vain, external, controlling of others. But sometimes the ego is actually just keeping us small and afraid. And but what about this? And what about that? And I'm not ready. And what if? And it doesn't have to be such an intense wake up call for everybody. I hope it's not for you. But my experience, when you ignore the call, the message gets louder and they keep calling. So you can answer the call sooner. And in this eclipse season is an opportunity to let go of some level of ego and control and connect more to your spirit and what wants to come through you. And it's ultimately maybe not even for you and maybe not even for what you think it is. Like, I thought maybe if I start playing shows, I'll become this musician and that's my whole life. But my life took a totally different course eventually into spirituality, yoga, astrology, all this, which it was already there, but I never thought that would be the main thing. So I had to let that ego go over time. And there are other eclipse cycles, there are other cycles of life, but that particular one I think of often when we talk about things like this kind of eclipse of letting go of an identity, which may be just stepping into more openness, more authenticity, more vulnerability, more of your truth. There can be sudden shifts in romance or creativity. I know a few people announcing babies recently, a few people going deeper in their relationships, deeper in their romance, quite suddenly around the eclipse season. So this kind of thing is very common, particularly with Leo, Purva, Phalguni energy is, and the nakshatra is the front legs of a bed. So we think of things that happen in a bed, like sleeping, waking up, getting ready for the day, time with your spouse, sex, relationships, rest. These are all things that have to do with Purva Phalguni. So they are heightened and intensified during this time. If there's something stuck in that area, it gets addressed. If there's something ready to transform in the area, it gets addressed. And this can be very positive, very neutral, very challenging. As always, everything has a potential positive, negative, or neutral expression. Just like every atom and every cell in your body has a proton, electron, and neutron, we have choice, or at least the illusion of free will, of what we do with that energy. And what really is the determining factor is what we do day to day in our habits and routines and activities. So this can be a big shifting energy around that this month. This is a good time to just express yourself without a need for validation, a need for approval, just to share, just to connect. And it's a good time to really drop the drama that drains your joy. So if you are in a repetitive conflict with somebody or with your spouse, this is an opportunity to let it go this month and have more happiness and joy. Leo, Purva Phalguni is meant to be a very fun energy, like hosting friends, having gatherings, going to events, being social. A lot of people who have this native in their chart like to host others, like to be very social and bring people in and connect and collaborate. So it's a good month for that as well, and maybe a new breakthrough in how you do that in your life and stepping into more of what brings you joy, what brings you to life. This is a powerful reset to help you cultivate a deeper sense of confidence. And confidence in anything comes from repetition. So if you're not, for example, for me, I was not confident to perform music live in front of other people at first. And then I did it a few times and I got more confident. I did it a few more times and got more confident. And then sometimes it drops away and then the fear comes back, and that's normal too. But this is a reset around the eclipse season to find a new level of your confidence of like, I can really do this. And doing something repeatedly is the best evidence, the best case you can make that you can do it again. So if you want to cultivate confidence in anything, be confident as a parent, as a lover, in your relationships, in your work, in you're putting yourself out there, you're sharing your gifts. Just do it. Just do it as much as you can, just like Nike says. So I like work with many astrologers. I have a mentorship program. I teach Vedic astrologers, and one of the most important things that I teach is to do the astrology, to practice giving readings, to actually have the experience of looking at charts, making predictions, talking to people, asking people to do readings, putting yourself out there. All of that builds confidence, actually doing the thing. And just theoretically in the mind does not build confidence. Leo is a fire sign. Purva Phalguni has the energy to just start things, to just go. So I highly recommend working with it in this way, this eclipse season through mid-March. The next major transit this month is Jupiter moving into Punarvasu whilst getting out of retrograde. It's been in Punarvasu, I should say. Jupiter's been in Punarvasu, but now it's moving direct. It's getting out of retrograde on Tuesday, March 10th. So this is a return of hope and second chances. When it's Jupiter's retrograde, we go more internal. We go back to old teachers. We go back to old lessons. But now, Punarvasu, Jupiter moving forward, very positive, optimistic energy on all aspects of life. This is a time where you may have been revisiting old teachers and mentors, but now you're integrating those lessons, you're living them, you're moving forward with those lessons that you've learned through going back to them and repeating past efforts that you've done in the past, that you've gone back, okay, that's when I had my most success. Now I'm going to make that a habit, a routine, a practice that I do. So if you're still feeling like the new year is like still starting, this might be part of it, as Jupiter now goes direct on March 10th, and then the Vedic New Year comes 10 days later. If you've been like on kind of feeling like you're still not started, still just like waiting to start the new year, then you'll really feel it now by mid-March, in the end of March. So what has worked well in the past? Do more of that. Focus on spiritual renewal. Like if you feel refreshed by going in nature and taking a 5-minute walk, an hour walk, a weekend hike or weekend trip, like this is a great time over the next 2 months. So March, April, May, 3 months really, until June 1st. Then Jupiter will reach Cancer. So basically the next 3 months, anything that brings you renewal, like I love going to Dharma talks at Zen centers or going to morning meditation at the local yoga shala here, or going out. I love going for a walk on the beach for an hour. Like that's a very nice reset energetically, spiritually, this connection to something bigger than myself. Whatever brings that to you, this is a really good time over the next 3 months to prioritize those things and cultivate inner security and safety. Nobody can give that to you. Jupiter is the protector. So wherever it is in your chart, you have a protected energy around you in that area of your life. People are helpful. There are important guides in your life. But ultimately, the lesson of Jupiter, the guru, is to find the guru within, the inner guide, the inner teacher. And also have external teachers, like not be totally self-centered, but also know that you don't have to have that from someone else. You can cultivate it in yourself. And that's one of the lessons here as well. We move forward to March 20th, the biggest day of March, one of the biggest days of the entire year. March 20th, a very special day this month. Mercury goes direct. So all the chaotic thoughts and delays you might have been having until March 20th get cleared up. If you needed to review any contracts, decisions, moving transactions that need to be finalized, March 20th, now you can finalize those things. I generally recommend waiting to finalize details, contracts, commitments, buying technology, things like that until Mercury is direct from March 20th on. Great time to journal and process what's happened in the eclipse cycle over the past 6 weeks before March 20th. And the new moon also is the day before this. So I'll touch on that in a second. So that's when the eclipse portal ends with the next new moon. on March 19th. So that is ending that cycle. And a good time to process that, reflect on, talk about it, verbally process, get your thoughts out. I love journaling. I love doing voice notes now. You can do a lot of AI tools. You can do voice notes and it transcribes it perfectly. That wasn't the case until like a year or two ago. So that's really nice. And now it's a good time from March 20th on to just double check any agreements or contracts that have been set up recently to make sure the details are in order, any travel things like that. And there are many, many practices you can do for this very special date or any date. And I'll be sharing a special invitation at the end of this episode to something I'm creating to give you practices to work with the transits this month and every month. So I'm very excited to share that because it's not just intellectual, but it's what you do with your body to work with these energies that matters. But you want to wait to this date, to March 20th, for full clarity on things. So this is the equinox, it's the Lunar New Year, it's Mercury direct. It's a very important day. And if you're feeling like things are a bit scattered, uncertain, unclear, they will get much clearer after March 20th. And that is the day of the equinox and the Vedic New Year. So this is a powerful reset for your annual intentions. And now we're thinking more spiritually, more energetically. We have the calendar New Year, January 1st, which is not really based on astrology or astronomy. It is synced up with the seasons, so that's nice. But it's a bit out of touch with the lunar calendar and the movement of the precession of the equinoxes and the new moon and the sort of completion of the cycles of the lunar calendar. So in the Vedic year, this is where it starts, March 20th, which is the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. The day and night are equal length. The yin and yang are balanced. The polarities are balanced. This is a recentering day, March 20th. Very good day for doing some sort of centering practice or meditation or something like that. And I will be offering something like that. Again, I'll share at the end of this episode about it. Your inner and outer balance is restored. Self, other, all the polarity in life, giving, receiving. This is a day to recenter, recalibrate that. If you're out of balance, if you're giving too much, not receiving enough, you want to recalibrate. This is the time to plant seeds for new cycles. So think of this from March 20th until March 2027. What would you like to grow in this time? Again, you can use the January 1st time, but we talked about that in recent episodes. Like a lot of people set New Year's resolutions and they just drift away. This is a calmer time, March 20th. This is a more grounded time. This is a renewal time, especially if you're in the cold winter. Like it feels very nice when the spring comes, the days get cooler or the days get warmer and the days get longer. So the more sunshine. And I know that living in Minnesota where I grew up, like that was pretty harsh for me. And I really, really look forward to this time in the spring. It really feels like a new beginning. And if there's something you want to create, a new beginning in your life, this is a great time to do it. Even if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, everyone in Australia, New Zealand, South America, Africa, this is like the time also for a new cycle, a new season. It's still equinox, day and night are equal, but you're now moving into the autumn season. So it's a little bit more about letting go and completions and what you want to release into the winter of your calendar year. Now is the time, Friday, March 20th, to act on the recent eclipse insights. So the eclipse portal, you have to make some decision. You have to go through a new phase of life. You have to shift some things. And then you integrate it around the 20th, ideally some journaling, reflection, therapy, something like this to process a bit. And now what are you going to do with that? What are you going to create going forward? What are you going to build? And this is the time to take action. And I am a very big proponent of taking aligned action, auspicious actions aligned with the energies of each month, because some months are great for travel. Some months are great for relationships. Some months are great for a career or finances. But it's not the same for everybody. It's not the same every month. So that's where you really got to know your own rising and moon sign to personalize this. And particularly this month, what's going on in Aquarius and Pisces, those are the big shifts of energy for you. And where this new moon will also be in Pisces. So this new moon on the 18th is this Pisces energy of new beginning, new renewal kind of energy, refresh, reset of your vision of what you want to create in life and connecting to your dreams and your intuition on a deeper level. So that's a big theme for the whole month of connecting more to your intuitive guidance and what you feel, what you're called to, and acting on that from March 20th. Now we act on it, especially in April when we have Sun exalted in Aries coming up mid-April. We'll have the new moon in Aries in April. That will be the time of action. Inspired, aligned, auspicious action, easy for me to say, in April especially. Auspicious action in April especially. Remember that one. That's a tongue twister for you to remember for April. Auspicious action in April especially. It's not as easy to say as it sounds. So that is a very helpful way to work with all the insights from the eclipse season of March, late February through mid-March. The eclipse cycle comes to a closure, and now we have this time for auspicious action in sync with astrology. And that's, again, I'll be sharing the special invitation at the end of this episode with more about that. It's a fresh start. So leave the past in the past. And if there's something stuck, we've got one last big shift to close out the month. Venus Gandhanta, March 24th to 25th. Tuesday, March 24th to Wednesday, March 25th. But it's really the few days around that. So you could say like the 22nd to 28th or so. You might be going through this Gandhanta. Ganda is a knot. Anta means the end of the knot, or untying, unraveling the knot, unknotting the thing that's been stuck in things to do with Venus, their relationships. So check Pisces in your chart, wherever house Pisces is in, that's where this is untying this knot for you. So for everyone who's a Pisces rising, this is your first house, yourself. You're untying something stuck around yourself. For every other sign, it's a different house. There's intense karma clearing in relationships. If it's been stuck through the eclipse, it didn't move through the portal, now it gets unstuck and you get an opportunity to move into a new way of relating. There's an urge to break free from illusions here. Hidden love and money patterns surface. And it's a good time to ground yourself through these emotional shifts, staying grounded. Venus is going from Pisces to Aries. It'll stay in Aries then for a while after the 25th. When we move from water to fire, we have this Gandhanta sensitive point. Sensitive issues may come up around relationships, around expressing your love, receiving love, money, relationship agreements, conflict in relationships. These things can get unstuck. So this is where it helps to let the ego go. Back to the eclipse energy, the eclipse lesson this month. Let the ego go. Don't try to control everything, and relate with compassion. Be curious, be kind, be gentle to yourself and to your partner. Connect with what you really love from your intuition, not from the logic, the lawyer, the problem solver, the fixer. That's all more like a Virgo energy, which we don't have this month. Nothing's in Virgo this month. So it's not the month for that kind of energy and approach. More being in the body and connecting to your emotions, your energy, how you want to relate. And from that place, it's actually a bit easier to untie the knots. It's more subtle. As energy gets more gross and dense, it gets harder to work with from the Ayurveda perspective. We want to address energies when they're subtle. Like I said earlier, with my big message from the universe in my car accident many years ago, this is a wake-up call. And we want to address the energy while it's subtle. Like something feels a little bit off. Can we talk about it? My body feels a little tense around this subject. Can we address it? And from a place of intuition, feeling, and staying grounded. So that could literally be feet on the ground. It's amazing how easy it is to live in the modern Western world and not have your soles of your feet touch the ground, the earth, because it's on shoes and pavement and whatever. So feet on the earth helps a lot. The number one way I'd recommend grounding is just literally being on the ground, and anything that helps you feel like grounded, like root vegetables, heavier foods that are healthy, like sweet potatoes, things like that. Pizza will do it too. Weed will do it, but these things are not the best long long-term solutions. So healthy grounding foods, grounding activities, restorative yoga, getting a massage, feet on the earth, time in nature helps you navigate this Gandhanta sensitivity. So it's like if you go through this day reactive stress, checking your email, looking at all the new social media and news and reactivity in the world, this week around March 24th, 25th is going to be extra sensitive. But if you go into that week like lighting some candles, doing a little meditation, even if it's a short one, taking time for yourself, taking a bath, getting a massage, time in nature, whatever it is, however much it is, it's enough to like get you in that grounded, calm, centered frequency so that as you move through this knot, it's not so intense and you can be intentional with it and be more precise about it. Like if you ever like tie your shoes and you get a really tight knot in your shoes, and you try to like aggressively pull it quickly, I gotta rush, I want to get this out, it makes it worse, right? So if you go slow, you might even need to get like a little tool to get that knot out. It requires more precision, more delicate, slow, steady energy to get the knot out. The tighter the knot is, the more delicate, slower you go with it. I've done a lot of training in body work also. It's a very important principle with working with the body. If you're like working out knots in the muscles, the tighter the knot, the slower you go. The deeper you work, the slower you go. Same thing with this Gandhanta. The deeper the issue is, the tighter it is, the more sensitive it is, the slower you go, and the more skillfully you can untie the knot. And if you miss it, well, we get another opportunity next year when Venus goes through this Gandhanta point again, and we can address it there. Listen to your dreams, listen to your intuition, listen to the synchronicities. They will help you a lot during this time, and avoid any permanent ultimatums and really harsh things around this time. Be gentle with yourself and others. So how do we integrate all of this? Review your moon chart and your ascendant chart, but especially the moon first, then your ascendant, or what house is impacted by these transits, especially your Pisces and Aquarius houses. Check my free chart calculator on the site, quietmindastrology.com. Look for the number 11 and 12. That's Aquarius and Pisces. That's the 11th sign and 12th sign, not the 11th house or 12th house, the signs. And if you're confused, get my free training. I guide you through how to read the chart. Stay grounded during the eclipse portal until mid-March, grounding practices. Use the equinox to launch new cycles. It's the new year. It's a new potential. Mercury's direct. It's a very strong positive energy. March 20th, moving us into all the Aries energy coming next month. Because it's what you do after a horoscope, after this episode, that unlocks the real potential of astrology. If you just hear all this and then forget about it, it doesn't do anything. So it's what you do after this horoscope that unlocks the potential. And you hear me say it all the time. You hear other astrologers say it. The best way to do this is yoga and meditation practices, spiritual practices, based on these old texts as well. Yoga, Ayurveda, Jyotish, they all come from the same source text, the same sort of collection of wisdom, working with the same principles like chakras, kundalini, doshas, things we've talked about today, the energies, the subtle energies in the body. How do we actually work with these and affect change through the breath, the body, journaling, practices like this? That's how we unlock the potential of this month. So again, if you just hear this and then you move on with your month, that's it, it's done, it's over, maybe nothing really changes. But if you want to make significant change in your life and you want to grow in the four aims of health, wealth, relationships, and purpose, then practices are the best way to do it. That's what I've seen myself. When I do my practices, I have more positive outcomes of the transits. When I don't do the practices, I have like mixed or no outcomes really. It doesn't really change much. I kind of drift through. Maybe you get more reactive, more sensitive to the transits. So I find the best results come through the practices. So that's why I'm inviting you now to join New Moon Alignment. This is astrology-based yoga to unlock the potential of each month. Nobody is offering anything like this. So I learned like this from my mentor many years ago. He's not offering this either. So it's very rare to find this, but it's very needed and nobody's doing it. And not even me. I was like, actually, I should be doing this because I do this myself in my own practice. when I prescribe and offer and suggest practices for clients I work with in readings and in my mentorship, they have incredible results when they do these things. And it's like, how do you work with the retrogrades? This is a good time for travel. Like, what do I do? How do I make sure the travel doesn't go haywire? Well, you do this meditation, you do this practice. This is personalized to your chart. This is based on the astrology. These are the auspicious actions to do this month. And it's based on thousands of case studies and all the research, all the best books kind of synthesized together. Astrology based yoga to unlock the potential of each month. And I'm limiting this to just 15 founding members. And we want to have a close community where we can connect a lot. I can help you a lot, work a lot with you directly. This is going to be super cool, super fun. I do a mentorship program where we connect a lot about learning astrology. New moon alignment is about living astrology. It's about the practices you do after the horoscope. So you hear the horoscope, you listen to the free podcast and the horoscope, and then you go into the membership group, and we have this container where we can connect, share insights, talk about the transits, talk about how they affect you personally, get practices to do to work with them. And you can join the priority wait list to be one of the 15 founding members at quietmindastrology.com/new moon. And when will we open that enrollment to the 15 founding members? Well, if you guessed March 20th, you're right. That is the day. That is the very auspicious day, one of the most auspicious days of the whole year to begin anything with the Vedic New Year. Mercury's direct, Jupiter's direct. It's a very positive energy. I'm really excited about this. So it's going to be March 20th. So all you got to do is go to quietmindastrology.com/new moon, enter your name and email to join the wait list. And then at 6 a.m. Pacific on March 20th, I will send out the email and you can join New Moon Alignment. You can be one of the founding members. And once it fills up, that's it. We'll close the enrollment and I'll go very deep with everybody in that container. And eventually I'll open this up again to the public, but I want to make sure we have a really amazing experience for the founding members. So we're going to start on March 20th. Enrollment will open, but you're not going to get that email unless you join the waitlist. So quietmindastrology.com/new moon to join the priority list. And thank you for listening. Hope you have a beautiful March and look forward to sharing more with you soon on the Quiet Mind Astrology podcast.